Well, good morning and welcome to episode 74 of Hang Out with Coach Kerry. You found this recording or watching it live because you're likely a solo entrepreneur looking for some tips and strategies to help you be more successful in your business. You may be struggling with how to get more clients, the topic of today's episode. You might be struggling with how to actually deal with all of the pieces in your business. You may be a bit overwhelmed. You may be, laying awake at night worrying about whether this is what you should be doing or not. Well, you've come to the right place. I believe that the tips and strategies I share with you here on all of my free videos will help you be more successful in business. But it's up to you to take action on the information that you have and make a consistent plan to come back week after week and watch my episodes. Sometimes I remount things from my library as well, so there's lots of great tips and strategies. So today we're going to be talking about how to get more clients, or why do you struggle getting enough clients or customers, depending on whatever your business is. And we're going to talk about what to do about it. So remember to tune in at 9 a.m. on Monday and check out the show and share it with other colleagues and other women that you know, other women who you know who are in business. So today I'm delighted to have one of my VIP panelists on to help me with this episode. Her name is Grace Gary, and she hails from Victoria, British Columbia, the same place I do, on the very, very west coast of Canada. So Grace, why don't you unmute yourself and introduce yourself to our audience today?
Good morning, Kerry, and thanks for having me on this morning. You and I haven't seen each other for a little while. Yeah. So my business is Graceful Solutions. I'm a counsellor, and I help women who are givers and care a lot about others, but struggle with self-esteem and weight gain. And I help them to gain confidence, to get into control, and to look great. And so you can find me at gracefulsolutions.ca.
Great, excellent. Go ahead. And how else?
And I give tips on emotional well-being and emotional eating there every month.
Great, excellent. So they can learn more about you and find out what you offer. And I know you've got some great programs for them too. So
yes, I have, yeah.
So let's get right into this episode, because I do think there's a lot of great information here to share with our audience. And so if you have found yourself, having enough clients and then you lose a few, or customers, or your income tends to be up, but then it tends to be down, tends to be up, but tends to be down, then, as I said, this episode is for you. And please stay to the very end, because we're talking about the reasons why you need to be planning and what you can do about it. So, if you find yourself building your business, as I call it, by the seat of your pants, and that basically is you get up in the morning and you just go at whatever happens to be at your day. You may have a couple of appointments booked. Of course, you've got Facebook and email that you have to deal with. And you've got all sorts of other, you've got accounting bits, you've got customers you may have to follow up with, you've got prospecting you need to do, and then there's the marketing and networking and all of those components of it. And every day you just seem to sort of be the same kind of hamster on a wheel. Well, what I would say is building a business was never, I don't know of one successful entrepreneur in all of the books I've read that have actually built their business by the seat of their pants. And the reason is because if you don't know where you're going, or at least what to be working on at any given time, how do you know what's going to be the most effective? How do you know what's actually going to make an impact in your business? Well, the fact of the matter is you don't. It's impossible to know that unless you put together some kind of a plan. And so really today what we're going to talk about is the number one reason that women and female solo entrepreneurs struggle with having enough clients and customers is they don't take time to plan. They don't take time to step back out of their business and have that more holistic view of their business, their everyday in it. Get up, sort of run, juggle the household responsibilities and, responsibilities of children and maybe even another job. And so they, you do it, and then you come back out and you do it again and you do it again. So you don't take the time to actually sit back and take a look at your business from a holistic and from a longer term view. And that's the reason why. Now you say, well, why is that? Well, because all of your efforts then are all over the place. You're doing this, you're doing here, you're doing that, you're over here. Should I do this? Oh, well, here's an idea. Maybe I should run after this. And again, what you're doing is you're chasing the shiny things. You're actually not looking at it and saying, okay, well, this then builds onto this, then builds onto this, then builds onto this. So if I do this, is that being strategic? Does that actually allow me to be able to build on that or grow on that? Or is it just one-offs? And the problem with one-offs is that there's never any strategy in that. Is that if you're off networking here and then you're doing this particular event and you're doing this, and you're doing this, and you're doing this promotion, but nothing's all part of a cohesive plan, then the chances are of you having clients consistently over and over and over again drops dramatically, because you don't know if actually something's worked, because you aren't able to say, this is what we did, this is the response we got to that, do we need to tweak it, and then we can repeat it over again, because you're just jumping all over the place. So the number one reason why you struggle with getting enough clients, enough customers, is you don't take the time to plan. So Grace, this is when I think it's a good opportunity for you maybe to be able to ask me a question about this, because I think in the minds of our listeners today, they've now heard the reason why, but there's probably some questions in their minds, and I bet you'll have those questions for me.
Hi, Kerry. I think this is such an interesting topic, and so top of mind for so many small business owners. So I'd like to know, so you talk about planning, but could you break it down a little bit in terms of what do you mean by planning? Like, what are the reasons that people don't have enough business? It is up and down, but what are the where should they be planning? What sort of things should they do?
Right. Okay. So planning is, first of all, you need to decide with why you're building your business in the first place. Why are you doing it? And what I'm going to encourage you is to stay away from, I need to pay some bills. Stay away from, and while those might have been your initial impetus, because we always act to resolve pain more than we actually do for pleasure. But if we're focusing on wanting to move away from something versus towards something, there's no excitement, there's no energy in it. In fact, it's quite draining, because what you're focusing on is that debt or the credit card bills or the job that you hate. And so really what you want to do is you want to start first of all with that purpose and then your vision. Purpose is that why for you, that really there should be something fulfilling in it for you. And then what is it going to look like when you sort of arrived at whatever that destination happens to be? And let's face it, you're never going to know all of that, but you're going to revise that over time, but there has to be some compelling reason to draw you forward. Because then based on that, you're going to set some goals for yourself, because those goals are actually going to be your benchmarks in the way, along the way, to know that you're moving towards that. And then once you've set those goals, well, then you can actually take a look at what are going to be the actual strategies. So this is where the strategic plan comes in. What are the strategies? And then the actual tactics to actually move forward. Far too often you're spending your time, I bet, on what are tactics. You learn, oh, I need to do this on LinkedIn. I need to do this on Twitter. I need to do this on Facebook. Oh, I need to do this networking. Oh, I should run this. I should do this kind of a promotion. But all of those are just tactics. And the problem is that there are so many people out there giving you lots of great ideas on various tactics to take, to employ. But the problem is they're not part of an overall strategy. And that's why you're building your business by the seat of your pants and all over the place. So you need to understand that it has to be about a specific strategy, and that's the most important part. So then, Grace, once you've actually got the strategies and the tactics, action steps, then it's about implementing them. And it's about setting yourself some of those strategies in short-term chunks so you can see whether they're working, to see whether they work together cohesively. You're going to be testing certain things to see whether they work together. And then you're just going to do that over and over and over again as you slowly start meeting those goals, which will then be moving you closer and closer to your vision. So those are the steps within how to create, or what are the steps you need to do to plan. Now, I bet you, Grace, maybe your next question for me is why people don't plan. Would that be your next question?
Yes, and I certainly know for myself, as you say, you rush at the business and do whatever looks to be in front of you, but the stepping back is another piece. Yeah, so why don't people do more of that?
Well, tactics are very exciting. Oh, I can try that. And oh, I can try that. And today we have so much information on the internet that, most solo entrepreneurs are subscribing to newsletters, to people who know what they're doing, so-called gurus in the industry. But generally speaking, most of them, what they're doing is they're actually giving you tactics, not an overall strategy. And so that's where you run into a problem. So you've got information overload is one of the reasons, and there's too much information there, and you're too busy spending time on all the various tactics and not thinking how that all fits into an overall strategy. They also sometimes, I think, struggle with, well, it's only just me. Why would I need to do a plan? Plan is for bigger businesses. That's what big companies do. But for me, why would I need to do that? I kind of got it in my head. Well, I'm going to tell you, you actually don't have it in your head. And in fact, even if you have pieces of it in your head, it's the wrong place to have it. You want to have it saved somewhere else, and you want to actually be able to create it either on paper or digitally or whatever, so you can actually have all of the pieces, because your head needs to be used for that higher level thinking when you're doing the work and then in the moment dealing with it. So one of them is you don't think you need to, or one of the others is you don't think you need to because you're a solo entrepreneur. One of the other reasons is you're actually sometimes, I think, struggling too hard just to make money. So that means is the focus is right here, right now, face forward. I have bills to pay. I need to chase after this client or this particular thing because I need to make money right now. And planning feels like slowing down. And especially if you're a behavioral style like I am, to be totally transparent, I'm a behavioral style that's one that's very much in action mode. So for me, it's a lot of work for me to slow down and actually step back and do planning. But I understand that there's some benefits, and we'll talk about those later, because I'm sure, Grace, you're going to want to know what are the benefits to it as well. So one of the other reasons is we're too busy actually chasing money. And in fact, I believe sometimes we could be too busy making money, and it's actually killing our business, because we're actually not making the money, but we're chasing after making the money. I think the other piece is they don't really understand the importance of it. And that's really my intention for today's episode, is to really have you get the importance of it. And it doesn't have to be complicated, but there needs to be a strategy that things all fit in together. If you're doing webinars, why are you doing webinars? What's the end result for them? If you're doing other things, what are the end result for that? I mean, my videos, for an example, like this episode, is so that I will have you subscribe to find out about new episodes and new upcoming things. With a benefit for you, absolutely. And then it gives me an opportunity to be able to tell you about other things that I do. And from time to time, there'll be paid programs in there. So that's part of an overall strategy. It's a strategy to build my list. And so exactly the same thing I want for you, my audience here, and you, Grace, is to understand that everything you do should be part of that overall strategy. So often when we don't understand the logic behind it or the rationale behind it, we won't do it. But when we really actually believe that we understand what it is, then we'll actually set aside some time to do it, I believe. The other piece is that, well, and this really relates to chasing money, is that we're always dealing with the urgent all the time. There seems to be more urgent, some more deadlines, a client I've got to see today, and we'll get around to it. But the problem is we never get around to it. So it's about understanding intellectually how important it is, and then set aside the time to be able to do that. And so poor time management. Actually, poor time management can be a cause of not planning, but it also can be a symptom of not planning. Now, Grace, I'm sure you can understand that. Is that if we actually have poor time management, then we don't have the ability to set aside the time to do our planning. But without the planning, and we're scrambling, then as a result, that creates poor time management. So they really go hand in hand. So time management and planning really do fit together. So working on improving your time management will also then give you the time to be able to put in your calendar so that you can actually get down to doing it. And let's face it, most of us need a structure to be able to do these kinds of things. Most of us need either a deadline. So for an example, we do our taxes because there's a deadline looming. We actually prepare for the next client that we have because there's a deadline looming. If we have a promotion or a sale that's happening, if you've got a more bricks and mortar business and there's a deadline looming, then you'll get the ads and you'll get what you need to get done because there's deadlines. So when you're a solo entrepreneur, often those deadlines aren't there. So you need to create some artificial deadlines by either having someone accountable or setting aside some time within a structure to be able to do that. So without that, again, you won't get those things, developed. And then I think the last thing, Grace, is that people don't know where to start. Is I actually don't know what's the first step. Now, I've kind of given you the overall structure to it, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty, it just seems overwhelming. It feels like an elephant to them, so they don't do any of it. And that's the unfortunate thing, because I do believe that it's such a key part of that. And at the end of this episode today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my program called the Strategy Map. And the Strategy Map is a 12-week program where we actually walk you through all these steps, and you can do it within a group, so there's accountability and structure that's there. So Grace, what's your next question for me?
Well, yes, I was thinking about how sometimes we know what to do, but we can't make ourselves do it. And I was wondering about what role coaching plays in helping people to do that, individual coaching.
Sure. Well, of course, one of the things is, as I always call it, first of all, it's clarity. So a coach can help you gain clarity. Clarity meaning, so what really is my purpose and vision for my business? What are my goals? Getting clear on specific goals, making sure that your goals actually are, they make sense, that they're measurable, that they're realistic, that they matter a lot to you, so then you will actually work towards them. So a coach can help you sometimes kind of debrief on that piece and really help you, push you maybe to set a goal that may be a little bit higher than what you want, or if you set something that's just so unrealistic that automatically your brain is going to be sabotaging you and saying, oh no, I'm not going to achieve that, or the goal is too far out, so there's too much time. So a coach can help you gain that clarity, as I said, around all those things that are important in that planning piece. Then the next piece is that you're going to gain with that clarity is what are going to be the strategies. What are going to be those things that you're actually going to put in place so that they're going to move you forward, so that you're not doing random things, that they're actually strategic. A coach will challenge you, and is that strategic? Is that strategic? So you understand how all the pieces fit together. And then the last piece, and I'd like to say, my brilliance is in helping with the clarity and the strategy, but honestly, clients get most from the accountability piece. And what's meant by that is that they make a commitment to a coach or a group, if they're in a group program, that they're actually going to complete certain things. And don't we all, we let ourselves off the hook too easily, that we buy into our own excuses as to why I haven't got the time, or why tomorrow will be fine, or oh, it's just okay if I don't do it today. Well, the fact of the matter is that when we continually let ourselves off the hook, every single day matters in business. Every single week matters. Every single 30-day month matters. Every 12 weeks matters. And so you really need somebody, as I always like to say, with their shoe firmly planted on your behind, pushing you forward when you're resisting it. So those are the pieces in it, Grace, and it's pretty straightforward. So they need structure. We all, I think that especially in our North American culture, we relish the fact that we like freedom. We like to be spontaneous. We like to be able to, and one of the reasons why often we start our own business is we want freedom and we want to be spontaneous. But I guarantee you, if you are struggling making enough money, you have no freedom and you are not at all spontaneous, because even if you go and do something, you're going to feel guilt, and that guilt of not having accomplished what you said you were going to accomplish. So structure is your friend. Structure, which is, this is what I'm going to do today, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow, this is what I'm going to do the next day, and all of that comes from having a clear plan, because then you know how all the pieces work together versus them being random. So Grace, what's your next question for me?
So in summary then, what are the benefits of planning in terms of having regular, predictable business, Kerry?
Well, I guess one of the benefits is having regular, predictable business, isn't it? Yeah. So that gives us peace of mind. We're not worrying in the middle of the night. We actually know then what we need to do. We have that clarity. We know if I do these activities, this is the amount of business I'm going to get. So when we have that, there's a sense of confidence that's there. You know then, okay, what I need to do is do this, and I'll get this. And that's going to give you so much more confidence. That's going to help you with your belief in your success of your business. And then you can build on that. If you're doing things randomly, then you don't know. Then how do you know what to build on? How do you know what you need to do to move forward? So you're going to get that confidence absolutely in it. It's also going to build in that accountability, because through that process, hopefully you've got some accountability partners in it, or some commitments you've made that are going to move you forward because you said you're going to do this, because you're clear what it is. Now you can actually have someone hold you accountable because you know what it is. So many times I have a potential client come and talk to me, and their biggest issue is, I don't know what to work on. I don't know what I need to do in order to be successful. So that clarity is that first piece. So once you gain the clarity, then you can have somebody hold you accountable for that. The other benefit is you get to articulate really clearly what it is you do. Once, part of a plan is stepping back and really getting clear, what is my business model? Who actually do I serve? I'm astounded at how many small business owners actually aren't able to articulate who their ideal client is. And that's one of the fundamental pieces of being successful in business, is know who you serve. And it's not everybody who breathes. The narrower you create your niche, the more you will resonate, and your marketing message will resonate with those people. Well, planning gives you the opportunity to be able to step back and do that. It also gives you an opportunity to challenge those false assumptions you might have. So often I come across people who say, well, this is what my business is. And I think, oh boy, I wonder how much they've actually researched that. Is there a market for what they're doing? Is that market is that market saturated? Now, I believe there's always opportunity to be an innovator and to do things differently. But you've got to have a lot of capital, you've got to have a stamina, and you've got to know business. You have to have some business acumen in order to be able to do that. So you really want to check your assumptions, and doing this planning piece will actually help you check them to make sure if they're correct or whether they aren't. And sometimes what it does, it forces us to do a little bit of a course correction. But isn't it better to do a course correction and be successful than stay focused on something because you really want it to be true and it's not? So then that also leads to us challenging the love that we have with our own ideas. Unfortunately, I say this far too often, is what we do is we fall in love with our own ideas. And the problem is we can't challenge them ourselves. So the benefit of coach, or within a group coaching program, is that actually you can be challenged on your assumptions, because that's a really important piece, to have somebody have another set of eyes on it for you. Because again, you've created this idea, you fall in love with it, but the fact of the matter is it could be a really like the market could not maybe bear what you want to do at this particular point in time. Are you at the front end of a curve? Do you have the finances to be able to support a new idea that's at the front end of a curve of awareness? Or are you at the point where it's now maintenance, and what you offer people can get online or at big box stores or whatever it might happen to be? So you need to be checking those, and planning helps you do that. And it also, I think one of the other pieces is, as a solo entrepreneur, it's so easy to get distracted by the shiny things, those interesting tactics that are along the way, right? It's so easy to read a newsletter or go to a weekend workshop and come back with, oh, this is going to be the thing that's going to turn my business around, and it's just yet again one other tactic, and that tactic hasn't been tested to how it fits in with an overall strategy. So you're going here and here and here and here. So without having any kind of a plan, a strategic plan in place, you're not able to test that and say, okay, how does this fit in with where I say I want to go? How does this fit in with this strategy? Or is this something that, yes, it's a great opportunity. This opportunity may never happen again, but the fact of the matter is, it would just be a one-off, and it's not going to be it isn't building the strategy where I can gain momentum from it, so I can say no. Because tactics alone will never gain momentum. Tactics as part of a strategic plan will gain momentum, because they give you the opportunity to test them and see whether they're working or not. So I hope I gave you lots of great reasons, Grace, why we need to plan, and what are the benefits to each and every person who's listening to this, and yourself, and myself, of course. I'm always, again, to be transparent, I do these episodes and I'm coaching myself. There's a reason why I picked 9 o'clock Monday mornings, is because it gets my week going, it gets my head in the game. And so did that raise any last questions for you, Grace?
It just reminded me of how important it is to prevent our stress later on, to plan further back up the river, rather than be pulling the bodies out because we haven't anticipated things. And also the importance of having someone to be accountable to help us remember what we said we were going to do. So those are two of my take homes. Thank you.
Great. Great, excellent. So, if you're watching this live, we're at the, we're in the beginning of September. And for a lot of people, the beginning of September is like a new year. There's New Year's resolutions, kind of September resolutions that are made. We've got another really 4 months to finish the year off strong. Likely, for most of you, you would have loved to have been in a better place or financially than you are right now. So here's an opportunity for you to be able to move things forward. Take some time, take a few hours, do some planning. My strategy map program, this program that I talked about, I'll be launching this in October to prepare for the new year. So you'll be doing that work ahead of time, ready so that you're going to launch the new year, knowing exactly where you're going to go, articulate what your business is going to look like next year, get clear on the strategies you're going to use and those tactics. So if you'd like to find out more about my program, the Strategy Map, make sure you go to my website, HangOutWithCoachKerry.com. And if you're listening to this on audio, Kerry is Kerry. And on there, opt in to get my free book that's there, How to Get Out of Overwhelm and Accelerate Your Business Now. And that will also give you the opportunity to get upcoming notices of upcoming episodes and when I'm going to be launching programs like my strategy map. And for people who are my subscribers, there's always special bonuses and benefits for being part of my valued list. So please do go in there and grab my ebook, and then you'll be on the notice list for when this program comes out. And you'll get a chance to learn a lot more about it. So thank you, Grace, again for your great challenging questions, and I think that they're questions that the audience would have had, and I'm glad that you got some takeaways from it. I did too.
Thanks, Kerry. It was great.
You're welcome, and Grace is a regular VIP on my panel, and so you'll be hearing from Grace in the future as well. And don't forget to check her out at gracefulsolutions.com and find out about her programs that she has upcoming for the fall as well. So everyone have an awesome week, and I look forward to communicating with you, however the method may be. But until then, have an inspired week. Bye-bye, everybody.